Hello and welcome to this episode of Hampton Roads Business Live. My name is Rory Graham and I'm your host, and today we have the pleasure of having with us Joe White, who is the marketing director and co-owner of Bob's Jobs Handyman. That's a tongue twister there.
Yes,
a little
it
bit.
is. That's
Okay.
a long name. Yep.
It is, okay. And I was intrigued with your tagline, which
Yes.
is "We do the honeydews that honey don't."
Yes, people love
Okay,
it.
so that kind of says it all, I think. So
Yes, it
pretty much.
does.
Okay,
Yes,
well,
it
that's it
does.
for the interview then.
Right, right.
Okay.
That says it all.
Well, why don't you give us a more in-depth overview
Okay.
of what you do?
Sure, I'll be happy to. We are a local, privately owned entrepreneur company. We've been in business about a year, and we do the honeydews that honey don't, and by that we mean there are so many families in the area that are affiliated with the military, and the husband is often gone, leaving the wife and the kids at home to fend for themselves. A lot of those women aren't comfortable, or they don't have the time or the skill that's needed to do their own handyman jobs. So that's one group that we tend to cater to.
Mm-hmm.
However, there are also senior citizens who would love to do their own handyman work, but they simply no longer feel comfortable climbing up on high ladders or taking on things that have quite a bit of labor or physical strength involved. So we like to serve them as well. And then the other group that we've done very well with would be single women. And again, they may have some interest in doing the work for themselves, and sometimes we can explain to them some steps that they can take to do things for themselves. But at the same time, they can feel overwhelmed and not confident in their handyman skills, and they will hire Bob's Jobs too.
Okay.
So I would say
and then you also have the lazy group.
Yeah, we don't like to call them that. But yeah, there are people who basically they have discretionary income.
Mm-hmm.
They can afford to hire us.
Mm-hmm.
They may be young enough that they're physically strong enough to do the work, and they may be intelligent enough to learn the skills and go to some how-to videos and that sort of thing, but they simply don't want to use their time that way.
Right.
They would rather be out on their boat or taking a vacation, something like that. So
Right.
they don't want to use their free time to do a handyman work.
Okay, well, let's talk about a little bit about the type of services that you do.
Okay.
And I know you said that you have been in business a year, but it's been a very successful year. I mean,
Yes,
you're
it
very
has.
busy.
We are.
And obviously there's reasons for that, and we'll get to in a minute. But
Sure.
what type of services, I know there's a whole long laundry list of them, but what type
Yes.
of major services would you say that are most popular that you do?
Currently, because our work is somewhat seasonal, we are doing a lot of pressure washing and cleaning out of gutters. I mean, the weather this past week has definitely contributed to that. We are expecting, and in fact, we got 2 calls this morning alone about that kind of work. So Bob has an industrial strength pressure washer, not the homeowner's model, and it works really well at both cleaning siding, brick, cleaning out gutters, driveways, walkways, pretty much the whole gamut of things that you can do with a pressure washer.
Okay, but you do plumbing and
Yes, yes. Bob's not a plumber and he's not an electrician, but he is capable and willing and able to do smaller repairs. He can change faucets, he can put in ceiling fans, he can change light fixtures, all that sort of thing.
Okay,
And
woodwork stuff too.
yes, he's very good with carpentry skills. That's one of his passions. He even knows how to refinish furniture. He can create templates that are needed. We had a client in the Bishopsgate neighborhood in Virginia Beach who had a lovely picket fence with these nicely shaped pickets. They no longer make them, he found out when he did some research. So he invented a template of the picket, used one of her existing pickets to create a template, and then using his woodworking tools that he has at home, he was able to recreate them and put them in place, and they look fabulous. She was really pleased with the results. They look just like the original pickets that she had put in.
Okay, and I noticed that when talking to you and looking at your site and all, that one of the things that you all say makes you unique is your elevated customer service, and that's
Yes.
probably why you've been propelled as fast as you have.
I think so too.
From what I've seen.
Right.
So can you talk to us about that?
Sure. We have set procedures in place. We actually have a procedures operating manual that outlines all of the steps that we take from the time a client contacts us by phone usually. And we do a variety of things. We direct them to our website to do research and check out our credentials and look at our services. We also gather their personal contact information at that point in time so that we have a way to reach them at a later date. I either call them to remind them of scheduled appointments or send them an email reminder, depending on their preference. Some older people don't like to use email. When Bob goes out to do an estimate, if he's going to be running very late, we give him a phone call if he's running more than 30 minutes late. Once he secures a job and goes out and does the work, he does quality measures at the end of the job to make sure he's left it at least as clean as he found it. I then call the client the day after a job to make sure they're happy with our work and that there aren't any remaining concerns. Because there are times he may do a pressure wash job and it looks fine when he's there, but it's still wet. And until the next day comes and it dries out a little bit, it's hard to see that he may have missed a small spot. So by calling them the next day, I can find out if there was something he needs to come back to, and he's more than happy to do so, and that becomes a priority that day.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I like to do is, after talking to them, finding out if Bob needs to come back, if there's anything at all they were concerned about, I write them a thank you note by hand, mail it out to them. I either include a business card, or we have really cute magnets that we got that they can keep on the refrigerator in case they want to contact us again.
That's
in
a
the
good idea,
future.
because you never know when stuff like that's going to come up that you need
Yes,
somebody. 'Cause
yeah.
it tends to happen at the worst
It does.
times.
Yes.
And unexpected.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
it's-
pipe breaks, and
Right.
they've gotten that under control, but now they're dealing with the water damage, and we can help out with that.
Well, I noticed that we had talked about the different type of clients and all. Do you want to give us an example of a typical client?
Yeah. Well, this is kind of a joke, but our ideal client is someone who lives in our zip code, simply because it's just so easy. And we have targeted the neighborhoods that are right around our home. And that would be the Kings Grant neighborhood, Bishopsgate, Chesapeake Colony, those surrounding areas. But because we have an internet presence, we have a website, we are now getting more traffic, more inquiries through our website than we are through word of mouth referrals or flyers that we pass out. So our ideal clients, we pretty much have three, and as I mentioned, that would be military families where the husband's gone, senior citizens who would like to do the work themselves but they don't have the time, and then families that have discretionary income.
And you also do deal with building managers.
We do. We have established some very good partnerships with property owners who don't live in the local area. I can think of three right off the top of my head that live in other states, and they don't even usually see the work that Bob does, but they've established a good working relationship with him. They trust him. They know he'll show up on time. He will call them while he's at the property to inquire, well, did you want these holes filled in the walls here, or do you want to leave that? He may pick up on things that they missed. He does a lot of Section 8 housing repairs, and that has worked very well. Again, we have at least 3 to 4 property managers or real estate investors with local properties, and we've been more than happy to work with them. That's been a very good relationship.
Well, I know on your website there's a lot of testimonials,
Yeah.
reviews
Right.
of your work, so encourage people to go and check that out.
Yes.
Is there anything that I haven't covered that you'd like to say?
The feedback that we get from people, which I find fascinating because it's surprising to me that people, other entrepreneurs and other people in the service industries aren't attempting to do what we do, but we're told all the time that we are way ahead of the game, that the fact that we do have a website, that we do have a Facebook fan page, that we keep those up to date. I publish twice monthly newsletters that provide valuable contact for the reader. Those newsletters include tips for handyman, do-it-yourself projects. We talk about personal adventures of Bob and Joe, the two owners, just because people find that interesting and they like to get to know us.
Yeah, everything's so social now.
Yes, it is.
So the marketing's somewhat changed in that
It
respect.
has. It has.
So you can either ignore it or
Yes.
embrace it.
Yes, and
So-
we've learned to embrace it, and we love it. I went from being very intimidated by working on the website to loving it. And now I've been doing so many newsletters, and I have a process that I write up that it's become fairly easy for me, and I just have the best time dreaming up ideas of ways I can help people. Because it's not really about selling, it's about value. It's
Right.
about what you offer
This weekend,
people.
matter of fact, this weekend I wrote a newsletter that's going to go out this week, and
Right.
it's 10 things I learned from interviews during
Yes.
September, and it's
Yeah.
just 10 surprising
Very
things I didn't
practical.
know
Yeah.
that would be helpful to other people. But at any rate, okay. Well, I appreciate you coming in and talking
Yeah,
with us.
thank you.
And
It's been great.
So if you're in need of a handyman for a whole list of services, I've got a whole page of them here.
Yeah, they're
It
all
would
on
be
our
better to go
website.
to their website
Yes.
and check that out.
That's our resource library.
Just about anything you can think of. If you need a handyman, then check them out. And I'm sure they would be glad to talk to you about that and give
Right.
you a quote.
Right,
On,
and the estimates are free.
and estimates are free. Well, you can't beat that. So
Right.
I wish you continued success.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
And
you.
the information is going to be at the end of this video. The contact information will be at the end of the video and on this page. And also some example pictures should be on this page as well. So I thank you for coming in and
Thank
wish you
you.
a great
Thanks
success.
for having me, and I appreciate your producer, Raisha, contacting me and getting this all set up. That was great.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.